Communiqué 1. Message to Simon Reynolds, 1998. Who defines cybernetic culture eminently as the mode of propagation characterizing flat, productive collectivities. Such flatness, whose intensive quanta are units or barkers, involves 1. Coincidence of product process. 2. Counterchronic arrival from machinic virtuality. 3. Absolute impersonality, ahistoricity, and extraterritoriality. Who consists of datable swarm convergences in process. It has no genealogy, geographical center, biographical attribution, or institutional dependency. Who retrochronically triggers itself from October 1995, using a UK university as a temporary habitat. Its emergence is sequenced and accelerated by a series of singularities, Barker thresholds. The Virtual Futures Conferences, Spring 1994, 1995, 1996, The Overfan, D-Rift, Cyber-Positive Book. 1995, The Collapse Journal, 1995 to 1996, The Afro Futures Event, February 1996, The Collabs. Breakbeat Experimentation Zone, the Virotechnics Event, October 1997, and the Switch/Overfan. D-Rift, Collaboration, Beaconsfield Arts Centre, London, Autumn 1998. Who or what you are speaking to can be accessed at different levels of intensity. It might be helpful to think of these as options, or hatches opening along a corridor. At degree 0, 1998. Who is the name on a door in an institution which said of the crew that does not, has not, and will never exist. At higher intensities it stretches between human agencies, below 1 Barker, and Unutra, the entity. Or polytendriled abomination at 9 Barkers. All crew products, practices, text and breakbeat. Remixology, the Abstract Culture Pamphlet Series, Concept Engineering, upcoming books and CDs. Intercoil along a line of continuous variation. Communiqué 2. Message to Maxence Brunier, 2001. 1. What are pulp theory, fiction hybrids? In France, the old continent, we don't have any kind of cultural studies and cyberculture means nothing. Can you explain your theories in newbies' words? Many members of the crew had fled cultural studies, disgusted by its authoritarian prejudices, its love of ideology, and pompous desire to represent the other or speak on behalf of the oppressed. To us, it never seemed that the real articulacy of the left academic elites was in any way superior to the modes of popular cultural expression which were either ignored or treated as raw material to be probed for. A true, that is ideological, meaning by white middle-class intellectuals, who has tried to connect and cross-intensify with peripheral cultural processes, dark side digital, audio, cyberpunk, neo-Lemurian sorcery, mumbo-jumbo, Afrofuturism, Indo-futurism, Sino-futurism. It seeks to think, theorize, and produce with rather than about, or even worse for them. We think everything interesting happens on the periphery, outside the standard modes of developed existence. Who engages with peripheral cultures not because they are downtrodden or oppressed, but because they include the most intense tendencies to social flatness, swarming, populating the future, and contagious positive innovation, hatching the decisive stimuli for the systematic mutation of global cybernetic culture. Cyberculture has come to be synonymous with Internet studies. Who has a more fundamentalist commitment to cybernetics, whose abstract principles of feedback dynamics, nonlinear casualty, and machinic involvement are linked to numerous issues concerning digital technology and telecommunications, but in no way restricted to these. Who has consistently endorsed Deleuze and Guattari's insistence that machines are irreducible to technology. We consider cybernetics to be the practical science of excitement, amplification, inhibition of communication, mutation, and innovation. A crew list of important influences would include Deleuze and Guattari's To Capitalism and Schizophrenia volumes, with their virtual materialism, assault upon the privilege of representation, anti-evolutionism, and implacable hostility to the state. Fernand Brauddel's rigorous differentiation, and even opposition, between capitalism and the market economy, with pro-market anti-capitalism functioning as a guiding slogan. William Gibson's cyberspace trilogy, which spreads voodoo into the digital economy, demonstrating, with the cyberspace matrix, how a fictional concept makes itself real. Octavia Butler's Xenogenesis novels, for their tentacled aliens, gene traffic, and decoded sex. Lynn Margulis' Bacterial Microbiology, for outlining the world of distratified life. H.P. Lovecraft's Gothic obsessions with time anomaly, sacred horror of teeming, bubbling, foaming multiplicities. We are currently enthralled by the work of Jacques Vallée and its extraordinarily sophisticated path to hyperstition through the UFO phenomenon. Who is working on a cyber-Gothicon non-fiction, to steal a term from Steve Beard, which interconnects the history of computing and AI research with UFO phenomena, alien abduction, false memory, and cover-ups, secret societies, and esoteric religion, amongst other things. Who is an ongoing experiment in collectivity, collective production, anonymity, and masks, dedicated to practically dismantling standard models of social existence, by pursuing ethics in the spinozistic sense, experimental production of collective bodies. Who feeds its own researches back into its own microcultural production. Its basic tool in this respect is pulp theory/fiction hybridity or hyperstition, see below. 2. What were the goals of virtual futures, Afro-futures and virotechnics? These events sought to reinforce and energize the interrelations between elements of theoretical research and popular culture. It was important to us that they were characterized by a minimum of academic stuffiness, and that contemporary sonic culture, techno and jungle, were as thoroughly mixed into proceedings as possible. Who particularly encouraged polymedia presentations, involving spoken text, audio, and video or other visuals. Our assumption throughout was that philosophy, social theory could be exciting, and that the deadening of all visceral response to intellectual exchange was a semi-deliberate strategy serving oppressive social interests. The 3 virtual futures conferences were large international events, and thus only diffusely focused. Over the years, guests included Manuel Galanda, Pat Cadigan, Stillwork, Scanner, and many others. Afro Futures was a smaller-scale event in which members of the crew along with key ally Kodwo Eshun explored the interlinkages between peripheral theory, rhythmic systems, and jungle, drum and bass audio. Virotechnics was organized outside the academy, and was dedicated to the theme of cross-propagation between cultural viruses and digital technologies. 3. What is the concept of the Syzygy hyperstition matrix? Syzygy was the title of a 5-week art show co-produced by Crew and Orphan Drift. The name means twinning or twin system, and this theme operated as a multi-leveled guiding thread. It was during the production of this event that Crew made contact with the virtual continuity of Lemuria, which taught us many secrets that we have since attempted to formulate as digital hyperstition. Digital hyperstition is already widespread, hiding within popular numerical cultures, calendars, currency systems, sorcerous mumbo-jumbo, etc. It uses number systems for transcultural communication and cosmic exploration, exploiting their intrinsic tendency to explode centralized, unified, and logically overcoded master narratives and reality models, to generate sorcerous coincidences, and to draw cosmic maps. The Lemurian biomechanical hyperculture propagates itself through decimal notation, whose latent interconnections are demonstrated in the numogram, see website, An Occult Diagram of Time and Practical Guide to the Ethics of Unbelief. An initial attempt to clarify this topic has been made in the most recent issue of our journal Abstract Culture. According to the tenets of hyperstition, there is no difference in principle between a universe, a religion, and a hoax. All involve in engineering of manifestation, or practical fiction, that is ultimately unworthy of belief. Nothing is true, because everything is under production. Because the future is a fiction, it has a more intense reality than either the present or the past. CCRU uses and is used by hyperstition to colonize the future, traffic with the virtual, and continually reinvent itself.